This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 483 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible. Our sponsors this week are horselovers.com and you, our auditors. On this week's show, we have the rest of the scoop, where we tell a story called The First of Its Kind. And Auditor April reviews the Pessoa Alpine Turnout blanket. Listen in, everybody. Glenn the Geek here, and I'm happy to be back with you on this second show of 2018 for the Stable Scoop Show. We're bringing you another terrific story by a different writer this time, and we hope you enjoy that. And next week, we'll add an auditor roundtable to the show that we'll be recording here shortly. So we are going to be adding things into the third segment of the show as we go along, and I think you'll enjoy those as well. But for now, this week's The Rest of the Scoop is written by Biz Stam, and it is called The First of Its Kind. The First of Its Kind by Biz Stam. Oliver was much like the other stable boys in the late 1800s. He began work around horses at a young age, mucking stalls, grooming, and eventually exercising the powerful thoroughbreds. Spending so much time around the stable at such a young age gave Oliver a sixth sense with horses. But Oliver's employer, Hal McGrath, would never acknowledge his talent. McGrath was a gambling man, and after winning $105,000 in a single night at his New York gambling house, he built McGrathiana Farm, a thoroughbred breeding and training facility outside of Lexington, Kentucky. McGrath had no love for the horses on his farm or the people who cared for and rode them. In fact, he openly bragged about working both men and horses into the ground. To him, they were not living beings. They were nothing more than cards to stack and dice to roll in pursuit of the big jackpot. Oliver was 19 years old when McGrath assigned him the position as key jockey for a race at a newly opened racetrack. His mount, a chestnut colt with a white star and two hind socks, was one of two entered by McGrath. Despite the colt having an impressive pedigree, he was foaled late in the season, barely breaking 15 hands, and wasn't thought to be much of a contender. But this was horse racing, and anything could happen. The other horse bred by McGrath, an impressive bay colt, was thought to be the stronger of the two horses. It was a beautiful day for a race on May 17th, with the perfect conditions promising a lightning-fast track. Oliver arrived at the track to find an enormous throng of spectators in attendance to watch the inaugural running of this stakes race. In the new modern saddling paddock of one of the most beautiful racetracks in the country, the chestnut colt's trainer instructed Oliver to break fast and push the pace of the other 13 horses in the field in order to set McGrath's other horse up from a come-from-behind win. He was called the Rabbit. Oliver did as instructed and broke fast on the small chestnut colt, but as he ducked his head to determine the placement of the rest of the field, he noticed that the impressive bay, the one for whom he was setting the pace, had broken quite slowly and was trailing the rest of the field. The little chestnut was unrelenting, and his lead continued to increase. It became clear that the bay had no chance of catching up. Oliver, knowing that his colt was not supposed to be the winning horse, looked to McGrath on the rail for instruction, and McGrath shouted, "Go on!" The small but mighty chestnut colt thundered down the home stretch, holding off the few horses that dared to challenge him. Oliver Lewis and his chestnut colt flew under the wire with a length to spare, winning the very first running of a race that would one day become known as the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. Aristides won the first Kentucky Derby. Despite the fact that Oliver's expert riding played an enormous role in Aristides' win, McGrath took all the credit, claiming that his exclamation, "Go on!" was the sole cause of victory. That's the way it had always been. A slave owner took credit for the accomplishments of his slaves, and while Oliver was technically free, his position in society after generations of oppression meant much like the chestnut colt he rode to victory, the cards were stacked against him. African-American Oliver Lewis went on to win many more races, but because he was seen as little more than an accessory to the horses he rode and a commodity to his employers, very few records were kept on his life. The records that do exist show that he went on to be a very successful jockey with many wins to his name, though it is doubtful he was given much credit for the wins during his lifetime. Today, though much has changed for the better, there is still plenty of work to be done in racing and society as a whole. Though it is important to keep in mind that amazing things can happen when a long shot, someone who has been told they aren't supposed to win, pours their heart and soul into the task at hand. That story was written by the amazing author Biz Stam. She's a freelance writer and a blogger for Horse Nation. Thank you, Biz.
And it's review time, product review time, my favorite time in the show. And this is Coach Jen, and I'm here with one of our auditors, April Kamick, and she's going to review a product with us this evening. And what product would that be?
It was the Pessoa Alpine Turnout blanket from Horse Lovers.
Ooh, sounds toasty. And as we record this, it's mighty chilly all over the country, so I suspect you've had the opportunity to use it.
I finally did. It took a little while, but about 3 weeks ago we had a cold snap, and I was able to use it. And then I went on a work trip, and my daughter called me and said, "Mom, it's going to be really cold tonight and for the next week and a half." And I said, put the blankets on. So we have gotten about 3 weeks of use out of the blanket so far.
Oh, wow. Now, you ordered your Alpine. Now, did you get the sheet or did you get the blanket?
It's the blanket. It's a medium weight.
Oh, you got the medium weight. Ooh, warm too.
Yes. And like I said, I was kind of worried it would be too warm, but I have some older horses, so I'm always wanting to put an extra layer on them when it gets chilly because, they just need a little extra.
Yeah, that time of year. So tell us about this Pessoa Alpine Turnout blanket. Is it the nylon-y modern smooth kind on the outside? What kind of fill does it have? Give me all the gory details.
Okay, so the outside, it's definitely kind of got a very smooth nylon-y feel. It's not like some of the turnout blankets that you put on and they're real stiff and crinkly. This one's got a really nice finish. It almost looks more stable blanketish, so it's really pretty. The pattern is wonderful. The feel is pretty average for medium feel. It's not real thick, not a real heavy blanket as far as to lift up and to put on. It's got plenty of adjustments. So it's got the shoulder adjustments. It's got the 2 belly straps, of course, the 2 leg straps, and it's pleated in the back.
So it hugs their bum.
Easy. I'm sorry?
It hugs their bum.
It does, yes, which is really good because the gelding that I have it on, he's a bit high-withered, and his rear end, being older, is a little less muscular, but it lays really, really well, even though it's a little bit bigger than what I thought. So I think the size runs maybe a smidge big. Mm-hmm. And he's a quarter horse, and he's not the real big bulldoggy quarter horse, but he's not thoroughbred either. So it may, like I said, it may run just a smidge bigger than what you anticipated, but not bad. It still fits him fine. It doesn't roll.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had any problems with that. I do have to say, though, he broke a strap.
Oh, no.
And I do not know it was the rear belly strap. I have no clue how he did it, but it's like cut straight across. So I'm not sure. It was snug up against him, so I really don't think he caught a foot in it, and I have not found any markings on him. But I really think it was more of a freak accident type thing. It does not look like it was a deformity or anything like that. It's not something I would expect to happen. It's something that I think can happen to any turnout blanket because we all know that the horses go outside and party at night or do something.
Yes, they
figure
do.
out what.
Yes, they do.
But I know when the blankets go on and the moon comes up that it's time to see what they can destroy.
That is true. They are partying out there. So this is your pretty classically designed turnout blanket with the crisscross surcingles and the leg straps, and then it has the front buckles. It has the little ring, and then you slide the snap through the ring. Is that how this one works in the front?
Yeah, and it goes through there, and then you can kind of like pull it back even more. So it's got a snap, but then you thread it through and pull it back. so it's like double enclosure on the front.
Oh, so it is. It's got a very interesting adjustment system that I've not seen on other blankets. Yeah.
It's got shoulder adjustments that way also, where you run it through the ring and pull it back. So you can tighten around the shoulders and then also across the chest. I've put it on him. I tried it on my big bulldoggy quarter horse. I was able to adjust it for her. Then I turned it around and put it on my 16-2 American Warm Blood, and it fit her perfectly to a T. She doesn't need a blanket, so she doesn't wear one. But if she did, I mean, I could adjust it between all three horses, which was really, really nice.
Oh, that's
and
nice,
it hangs down quite a bit on the side, so it's not real short and fitted. It looks like that, like it will block the wind more.
Yeah.
And so far they love it. They're turned out in a pasture with lots of trees, locust trees that have some thorns on them, and so far I haven't found any snags or pulls on it, which is usually what gets my blankets first.
Well, there we go. And which of the wide variety of really awesome colors did you get?
This one was the black, and I can't remember what the other color is. Oh, you asked me that. Now I can't remember. It's kind of a black and gray looking color, but it's beautiful, very, very classic, and just it matches everything. That's why I got it.
Well, it's a really subtle color palette versus they have some that are really bright, and they're all these kind of crazy plaid looking things. But I think the one you got is kind of I would say it's greenish gray.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, it's very earthy.
Perfect. I was trying to think of the color, and it would not come to me, but that is completely right. All of his halters match, and all of his polo wraps match it just fine. So I can pretty much put anything with it.
He's all matchy.
Yeah, he doesn't care, but I think it looks better.
You care?
I do care. And then when it goes on one of my barrel horses or something, I can match it to their boots and their bridle and all that good stuff. Make sure everything looks good.
There we go. So this has been the Pessoa Alpine Turnout Blanket. It is available in four different plaid colors. And it looks like it's available from size 70 through 84. It's a 1,200 denier with 180 grams of insulation, so it's just right for horses who are not clipped, or if you have a horse that's clipped, he can wear something else underneath of it. And as we record this evening, it is available at horselovers.com. That's horse lovers with a Z at the end. Horselovers.com for $134.95.
That's right.
There we go.
I highly recommend it. I love it. I think I'm going to buy a couple for my other horses too.
There we go. And thank you very much, April Kemick, for coming on and doing our product review.
Absolutely. And thank y'all for everything you do. And thanks to Horse Lovers for letting us review these products, because it really gives us a lot of confidence in what's out there.
Well, thank you for joining me this week on the Stable Scoop Radio Show. Next week, we'll be back with a new story and a product review, plus an auditor roundtable. I think you'll enjoy that. In the meantime, don't forget, you can listen to Horses in the Morning 5 days a week. Just go to horsesinthemorning.com, 9 a.m. Eastern, if you want to listen to it live or just recorded later in the day. And if you haven't downloaded the Horse Radio Network app yet, do so, iOS or Android. It's free, it's easy to use. Just search for Horse Radio Network on your phone. Until next week, everybody, happy scooping.